AEW Dynamite starts off with Jay White, Juice Robinson versus Heyman and Christian. Not gonna speak too much on this match. The heels ends up picking up the victory with the interference of, if I'm not mistaken, Mama Wayne. Christian Cage group ends up picking up the patriarchy ends up helping them pick up the victory. Not gonna speak too much on this match. We already know the bigger story between Hangman and Jay White building up towards full gear. So we'll see how that match plays out. Not gonna speak too much on it, but I'm excited for the match they're gonna have at Full Gear. After this, we don't get Mercedes Moné, Chris Statlander. They was getting interviewed by Renee. Then Mercedes ends up tossing like her coat at Camille, but she didn't catch it. So she ends up disrespecting Camille a bit. Then she ends up sending Camille out, sending Camille in the room. She starts talking trash about Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander overhears, ends up attacking Mercedes. Then Camille tries to make the save, but ends up getting taken out as well. She ends up like spearing him through like a wall. Okay. I am liking that they're teasing the breakup of Camille and Mercedes Moné. I do like that. I will say this though. Man, Camille has to be the most worthless and useless bodyguard I have ever seen. She is on the same level as Raquel right now in WWE. She is like on the same level because man, she is useless. Also, I will say this. I do like that they are doing the whole Mercedes is mistreating Camille to a degree, but I also don't like it. I like it because it's different because her just them being buddies is just not working. But the reason why I don't like it is because Camille is supposed to be this dominant force. That's what they're trying to portray us, but her being, punked by Mercedes kind of makes it a little, you get what I'm saying? It's different being told what to do instead of being disrespectfully told what to do. You get what I'm saying? Like Solo and like it's like Solo. Solo doesn't disrespect Jacob Fatu. You get what I'm saying? He tells him what to do, but he doesn't disrespect him, if that makes sense. But I will say this, I'm not going to complain too much about it because I understand what they're going for, and it's better than what they was doing before. So I don't know what's next for Mercedes because we all know that she's not losing. I'm sorry, Chris Statlander's just not beating her. She's not losing, but whatever's next for her, hopefully it's something big because AEW desperately needs it. But overall, this was okay. The fighting is a bit still weird. It's similar to what they did at the parking lot when they try to run over with a car. That segment was weird. This was the same thing. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they just don't have the chemistry or whatever, but they need to fix something with that because these segments, these backstage segments with them brawling are just awkward. Now we end up getting, I'm gonna be honest, the best thing on the show. Will Osprey ends up coming out. He ends up basically calling out Kyle Fletcher. Kyle then comes out. Then Will Osprey ends up, mentioning their backstory, mentioning their friendship, mentioning how he knows his family and all that. Then he ends up just basically wondering why did Kyle Fletcher betray him. Kyle Fletcher responds back, ends up saying that Will Ospreay always been about himself and that he never wanted him to succeed. He always wanted him to stay underneath him and never wanted him to surpass him. That's why he betrayed him. Then he starts mentioning what Will Ospreay did to Okada, to Kenny, and things of that nature. And then Will Ospreay ends up mentioning Kenny and Okada, and he ends up mentioning the things he done. But he also mentions that before he did that, he was already super successful. Mentioning all the championships he won, and Mitch starts alluding to Kyle. What has Kyle Fletcher done? What has Kyle Fletcher done on his own? Then Kyle ends up responding back, ends up saying that he's going to be the one to eventually surpass Will Ospreay, and that he wants a match at Full Gear. Will accepts. Then it turns into a brawl. Kyle Fletcher tries to ambush Will Ospreay, but Will Ospreay was prepared for it. So then Powerhouse Hobbs and someone else, I don't remember, but someone else ends up ending a brawl. Yeah, and that's basically the end there. The promo segment was actually really good. I enjoyed this promo segment. I am a little bit worried for Kyle Fletcher because storyline wise, it will probably be Tony Khan making Will Ospreay win here. But I think Lance Archer was the other person that came out, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was Mark Davis. My fault. It was Mark Davis. But I will say this. Kyle needs the victory here. Kyle needs to win at Full Gear. He needs to win. He doesn't need to win cleanly because I highly doubt they're going to have Will Ospreay lose cleanly to Kyle Fletcher of all people. But he has to win cleanly. There's no way you have him lose because if you have him lose, this is just going to be the Trent Beretta situation all over again, where you build him up to do this whole big betray and then you have him lose. You gotta have him win. It makes no sense from a storyline perspective. You're doing. I understand you typically want the babyface to overcome the odds, but you gotta have Will Ospreay lose this match. They're probably gonna have him cheat, but you need to have Will Ospreay lose at Full Gear. You cannot have Kyle Fletcher do this whole big betray thing and then have him lose. You just can't do that. You gotta have him win to build him up as a big deal. I'm enjoying this story. This was the best thing on Dynamite because everything else was just, man, everything else was just bad. But this was the best thing on the show. Hopefully they continue, and hopefully the match at Full Gear, well, the match at Full Gear is going to be amazing, but hopefully the story continues to play out in a very good way. After this, we're going to be getting Lance Archer versus Roger Strong. Roger Strong picks up the victory. Not going to speak too much. He ends up getting his third victory in a row. He ends up getting the third victory. Yeah, he ends up getting his third victory, so he'll be the one to face Max at Full Gear. After this, we end up getting Konosuke versus Adam Cole, and Konosuke ends up picking up the victory over Adam Cole, preventing Adam Cole to get his third victory. He ends up using MJF's Diamond Ring to pick up the victory. Now, I will say this because I was a little bit confused because they end up announcing that Roderick Strong ends up being, of course, going to face MJF at Full Gear. This didn't make sense because I don't know if Tony Khan has bad memory or he's just playing jokes, because I knew I wasn't tripping when initially MJF said the first to 3 wins. Roger Strong was the first one to get 3 wins. I think 2 of them came off Collision. Okay, cool. But then Adam Cole, a week or 2 after, ends up saying that it doesn't matter who gets the first to 3. He ends up saying that it's whoever gets 3 wins because he talked to Tony Khan. So technically speaking, if that's true, even though that's not true anymore, I guess, Adam Cole could still get his third victory. He just has to get it by next week. But I guess they're changing the story, I guess, again. But I do like this story better because I said before that they need to wait on this match and have it at World's End, where everything fell apart in the first place, where Adam Cole officially turned on MJF. So I'm glad that they're waiting on having that one-on-one match until later, because that should not be happening at Full Gear, especially with how this story is progressing. It should not be happening this soon. But after the match, Roger Strong ends up attacking Konosuke. Konosuke gets the upper hand, but then Kyle O'Reilly ends up coming out for the save. Then Ricochet ends up attacking Konosuke Takeshita. So I'm assuming they're building up eventually Ricochet and Konosuke having a one-on-one match eventually. So we'll see how that plays out. And they're telling the story of Kyle O'Reilly still not trusting and still doesn't like Undisputed Kingdom. So that makes sense because I thought he was going to be on good terms with them. So thank God he's not. So, well, I don't really care, but I was going to say from a story perspective, it wouldn't make sense for him to be on good terms. After this, we end up getting Jon Moxley. And this, oh my God, okay. I was expecting more. I was expecting more because they made a huge announcement about him, evading AEW or whatever. This is the same thing that's been happening for weeks. Now, I expected an attack from this promo or whatever, but I expected more. I expected something brutal. It's just the same thing that's been happening for the past few weeks. And before the promo started, he ended up attacking some random old guy. I don't know why he's attacking a random old guy. Who cares about the random old guy? Doesn't make sense. But in the promo, he basically just builds up Full Gear. Then Orange Cassidy comes out, ends up mentioning Mox having all the power, mentioning how he beat Jon Moxley before and he's going to do it again and take the power away from Moxley. Then he ends up alluding to wanting a match with Wheeler Yuta. Then, which is official. Then they end up leaving the ring. Darby Allin ends up jumping from like the crowd area onto them, attacking the Death Raiders, and then ends up ending in a brawl, basically. Same thing been happening for weeks. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna give this storyline a few more weeks until I'm officially over it. I just don't know what to think here. Because we all know Orange Cassidy's losing. I think the person that's going to dethrone Jon Moxley is going to be Darby Allin. Most likely. He's the most logical person as of right now. Unless they wanted to do like Will Osprey or something. But yeah, I'm giving this like a few weeks at the Full Gear. Depending on the build to World's End. if this story doesn't go anywhere, man, I don't know, man, because AEW, man, it's just getting harder and harder to watch. Because I don't hate the shows, I just think the shows have just been mid. Like, it's just missing something, and this story is just not it right now. After this, we end up getting Swerve. Swerve calls out Bobby. Yeah, he basically calls out Bobby. Then Bobby and MVP comes out. MVP gets on the microphone. He eventually starts alluding to having the numbers game, having the numbers advantage. Shelton comes out and attack, and then they brutally attack Swerve in the ring, and that's the end of the segment. This is good. This is solid. Building up their match to Full Gear. Interested to see how that match will play out. I'm assuming Swerve will lose that match because it doesn't make sense for Bobby to lose his first match, especially with the numbers advantage. So very interested to see how that plays out. I'm not going to speak too much on it. I do like the presentation of the Hurt Syndicate. I will say that. MVP being the mouthpiece. So slowly interested in this story. But we'll have to see how the match plays out at Full Gear. Didn't we end up getting a contenders match for Full Gear for the tag team titles? I think it's gonna be like a 4-way tag team match or something. This is one, the qualifying match. House of Black versus LTR. House of Black actually won the match, which was crazy because they typically never win anything. So the fact that they won is crazy. They end up picking the victory. Don't really have much to say. Just shocked that the House of Black won because they never win any matches. So the fact that they won, I'm happy. That's great. Overall, that was the main event, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this overall show was very mid, very questionable things. There's some things on the show that I don't even know I even want to get into because, man, the decision making was terrible. Had one moment where Britt Baker made her return, but she ended up facing Penelope, which I don't understand why. And then Serena Deeb comes out, so it looks like they're gonna feud, which doesn't make sense because I don't get why they're feuding. And if you wanted them to feud, you could have just had Serena Deeb cost Britt Baker the match, then initiate your feud. Could have done that. Then they're pushing Penelope for whatever reason, which I don't mind, but I haven't been talking about Penelope getting pushed because I already know how the story's gonna end. They're gonna push her for like a couple weeks, then they're gonna end it. That's why I haven't been talking about. Then you have Jamie Hayter, and Julia, who could potentially be feuding, which I don't like the idea because why are you gonna have Jamie Hayter and Julia feud, two people that desperately need wins? So I don't understand that. And then why is Julia coming after Jamie Hayter? Now it's not confirmed, but that's what it's looking like. So we'll see how that plays out. But overall, this show needs something. Hopefully, the go home show is better, and hopefully after Full Gear they figure out something because right now this is not it. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.